Hello everyone, my name is Irish Joy B. Corral. This morning, I would like to discuss three topics under Social Welfare Administration, which are concept of social welfare, approaches to social welfare, and social welfare and related concepts. If you have questions, please have them at the end of our group presentation. The concept of social welfare has developed in connection with the social problems of the industrial society. Poverty, sickness, suffering, and social disorganization have existed throughout the history of mankind, but the industrial society of the 19th and 20th centuries had to face so many social problems that the older human institutions, family, neighborhood, church, and local community could no longer adequately meet them. The concept of social welfare and its scope of operation vary from country to country, depending upon their stage of historical development, the degree of prominence given to the development and welfare goals, and the evolution of state structures for delivery of services. Let's define what social welfare is. Social welfare refers to the organized provisions and services for the society to deal with social problems. This broad definition of social welfare is also corroborated by some distinguished writers on the subject, one of which is Walter Friedlander, a U.S. social welfare expert and educator who was born in Berlin. According to him, social welfare is the organized services and institutions designed to aid individuals and groups to attain satisfying standards of life and health, and personal and social relationships which permit them to develop their full capacities and to promote their well-being in harmony with the needs of the individual and to serve the wider interests of society. Another author is Richard Morris Titmuss, a CBA FPA, who was a pioneering British social researcher and teacher. He founded the academic discipline of social administration and held a founding chair in the subject at the London School of Economics. According to him, social welfare defines as all collective interventions to meet certain needs of the individual and to serve the wider interest in the society. Another authors were Harold Willinsky and Charles LeBlanc in their book Industrial Society and Social Welfare. They define social welfare are those formally organized and socially sponsored institutions, agencies, and programs which function to maintain competence of some parts of all of a population. In Encyclopedia Britannica, we will find the definition of social welfare as a system of laws and institutions with which a government attempts to protect and promote the economic and social welfare of its citizens, usually based on various forms of social insurance against unemployment, accident, illness, and old age. On the other hand, Wayne Vassay was a social work educator who contributed to the fields of social policy, social welfare, and gerontology. He was the founding executive of the social work schools at the University of Iowa and Rutgers University. He notes that social welfare includes two main characteristics: the utilization of welfare measures to support or strengthen the family as a basic social institution through which needs are met, and the intent to strengthen the individual's capacity to cope with his life situation. In the book Social Welfare Planning in the Context of National Development Plans, social welfare is defined as a body of organized activities which are basically meant to enable individuals, groups, and communities to improve their own situation, adjust to changing conditions, and participate in the tasks of development. Some of the social welfare activities are meant to enable local citizens to participate in self-help projects and help to create social climate that is an essential condition of development. Another authors are Gore and Kandidar. They say that social welfare are some other activities that aim more directly at helping vulnerable groups or categories of people to attain the minimum social standards. In broadest sense, it encompasses the well-being and interests of a large number of people, including their physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and economic needs. Social welfare includes the basic institutions and processes related to facing and solving social problems. Those problems which affect large number of people and which require some kind of concerted group effort to resolve. The purpose of welfare is to assist individuals in need. The ultimate goal is to lift the welfare recipients out of adverse situation and make them self-sufficient. Amartya Sen, who was an Indian economist and philosopher, he argues that enhancing an individual's capacities results in a greater likelihood of success in society's success. Enhancing freedoms is one means for development, and he argues that many people around the world suffer from varieties of unfreedoms, which can be in the form of famine, lack of health care, and gender discrimination. In this regard, welfare provides individuals with the basic needs necessary to live a healthy life with the capability to enjoy the freedoms that are inherently available to all. Therefore, it is essential to note the importance of welfare for underprivileged individuals who need governmental assistance in the form of welfare. Another personality is Andrew Haywood, a British author of textbooks on politics and political science. According to him, social welfare promotes the economic well-being of the individuals with fulfillment of the basic needs necessary for a healthy life. Haywood puts forward following reasons for strengthening of the social welfare system. First, it promotes social cohesion and national unity, in that it gives all citizens a stake in society and guarantees at least some basic social support. Second, it enlarges freedom in the sense that it safeguards people from poverty and provides conditions in which they can develop and realize their potential. Third, it ensures prosperity by countering the effects of social deprivation and helping those who cannot help themselves. And last, it serves as a redistributive mechanism that promotes greater equality and strengthens a sense of social responsibility. Approaches to social welfare. Approach implies a structured institutional response or a framework for policy. Each developed and developing country has its own approach and system of social welfare policies and programs. Their welfare system reflects, by and large, the values and beliefs about how people's welfare can be best advanced. We may broadly classify the social welfare approaches as follows: family-centric approach, residual perspective, mixed economy approach, and the institutional approach. Family-centric approach. This is perhaps the oldest approach in which the family plays an active role in social welfare provision. Strong familiar bonds tend to be an important source of social capital. For example, in taking care of the children, the aged and disabled family as a whole has a critical role. In India, as well as in the advanced country like England, family structure is still regarded as strong, and several social needs that are elsewhere met by government programs are still met by the family. In many countries of Asia, the joint family continues to be the main support for economic security, especially of the unemployed children and older family members. The family is therefore perceived by policy analysts as a significant point for intervention. This approach is based on conventional wisdom as well as sound sociological theory. Strong family bonds are considered as a source of sustainable social support. Public policy analysts therefore perceive the family to be a point of intervention by the state, both for meeting the welfare needs and for curbing social ills. But the family approach has some limitations. One of them is the near extinction of the extended family system, more so in the urban areas. Secondly, it does not look at the role of gender in the family. Thirdly, there are financial and spatial issues which constrain universalistic reliance on the family approach. Next, the residual perspective. The residual approach conceives of welfare provision by government as the last resort. It is based on the idea that people can resolve the problems themselves. The needy can support through the family or the market insurance in particular or non-governmental organizations. Government would not step in only when the needy are unable to resolve their problems. In this context, public provision is made for the residue of the poor only: sick, unemployed, the order of people, and the other needy. The residual approach is followed in a few countries only. It suffers from many limitations. Chief among them is the means of eligibility test. Fulfilling the residency requirements becomes problematic for the beneficiaries of the schemes are intended for the residents of a given state or territory in the federal system. The residual approach does not also touch issues like housing shortage. In this approach, the benefits for the needy are very low and even the eligible recipients are discouraged to go after them. Next, the mixed economy approach. In some countries, including England and Germany, a mixed economy approach has been adopted in some areas of social welfare. For example, the German social insurance system has provided a very successful forum for cooperation between government, social administrators, banks, insurance firms, and individual entrepreneurs. In such a system, insurance benefits linked to individual earnings cover the bulk of material needs. In this model, public and private sectors come together in managing welfare policies in a more efficient manner than in a bureaucracy-centric operation. However, a major limitation of this approach is the public-private partnerships do not operate in many countries in the best possible manner. The institutional approach. It is a normative approach that is based on the belief that social welfare can be best promoted through collective action and the pooling of resources. Welfare is provided, however, in this approach for the population as a whole in the same way as the public services like roads or schools might be. It may also be described as a fully saturated model. For example, instead of restricting public health coverage to specific social groups belonging to the weaker sections, the coverage of the program is made universal in this model. The institutional approach appears to be elegant, but many people will not extend support to this approach and pool their resources, just as the way they do for community works. In practice, the institutional approach to social welfare therefore lacks adequate public support, except in the spheres of education and health. But according to Walensky and Laval, classic analysis, social welfare approaches may be residual or institutional, wherein in residual, social welfare institutions should come into play only when the normal structures of supply, the family, and the market break down. It is based on the premise that there are two natural channels through which an individual's needs are properly met, the family and the market economy, wherein in institutional views social welfare as a necessary ongoing function of a complex, interdependent society and normal social institution to help individuals realize their potential and make optimum use of available resources. It becomes accepted as a proper legitimate function of modern industrial society in helping individuals achieve self-fulfillment. But according to Paul Weinberger, an author of Perspectives on Social Welfare, an introductory anthology, in his opinion, each is a reflection of broader cultural and societal condition, and with industrialization, the second is likely to prevail. Social welfare and related concepts. Social welfare is generally confused with social service, social work, and social security. This confusion and ambiguity has arisen because of the fact that they all have an identical and similar aim, namely the well-being of the people. However, they have different meaning and connotations. Social work is a professional service based upon scientific knowledge and skill in human relations, which assist individuals alone or in groups to attain social and personal satisfaction and independence. It is usually performed by a social agency or a related organization. The term social welfare has a broader implication than a professional social work. By social security, we understand a program of protection provided by the society against those contingencies of modern life: sickness, unemployment, old age, dependency, industrial accidents, and invalidism, which the individual cannot be expected to protect himself and his family by his own ability or foresight. This general rule of social protection is secured through the various forms of public assistance, social insurance, and preventive health and welfare services. In general use, private social welfare activities are, however, an important part of the system of social welfare in most countries. Finally, social services are those which are meant for the normal population. They seek to meet the basic needs of the people and include services to health, education, housing, and so on, which should be available to all, irrespective of their economic status. Their aim is to develop the human resources of the country. Social welfare services, on the other hand, are those which are required by the vulnerable sections of the society and include services for the traditional underprivileged groups such as women, children, and backward classes. In other words, they are enabling services for persons and groups that cannot take full advantages of the services available for the normal population. The terms social service, social work, and social security are directed towards the welfare of people. It would be appropriate to designate social welfare as the majority activity for the well-being of citizens of a country, and other activities as it means and approaches to subserve the primary objective of securing the welfare of the people concerned in the respective lands. Social welfare in the Philippines. Social welfare is a development priority in the Philippine government. Conceptually, according to Mendoza, social welfare refers to the well-being of all members of human society, including their physical, mental, emotional, social, economic, and spiritual state. It can be achieved through laws, programs, benefits, and services that assure or strengthen provisions in meeting basic needs. Ultimately, social welfare provisions redound to the good of the social order. These provisions may be directed to strengthening existing arrangements, mitigating the hardships or handicaps of particular individuals and groups, pioneering new services, stimulating a better adaptation of the social structure, including the creation of new programs as needed, or a combination of these approaches to respond to social needs. Another view holds that social welfare is attained when well-being is manifested by people. To achieve well-being requires three elements. The first is the degree to which social problems are managed. The second is the extent to which needs are met. And third is the degree to which opportunities for advancement is provided. In other words, it is important to set up mechanisms by which the attainment of well-being is assured, and to make sure that this is sustained and improved. The concept of well-being covers broad requirements such as income, security, housing, education, recreation, and cultural traditions. Services to address these requirements are not necessarily lodged in one office. For instance, the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, caters to the broad social welfare needs of the population. Different government agencies undertake other social welfare requirements that need specialized services like health and labor. Social welfare needs to be pursued as part of the process of governance. Governance deals with managing resources and political authority to ensure that public programs address basic needs in a way that conforms with accepted standards of effectiveness, efficiency, relevance, equity, and sustainability. And that ends my presentation, and I'd like to thank you for your attention. The next presenter is Mr. Alain Ryu Chaka. Sir, take it away.